Stop for a second. Because what I'm about to say will either flip your life on its axis, or you'll shrug, keep scrolling, and wake up in the same place 10 years from now. There are people who do not want you focused. They want you distracted, reactive, and drowning in noise. Why? Because the man who controls his focus becomes dangerous. Not loud, not emotional, precise. And precision? That terrifies them. Machiavelli understood something most men forget in this age of constant buzz. Power begins with what you give your attention to. The more you obsess over other people's opinions, the more you become theirs. The more you lock onto your own path, the more the world quietly shifts to orbit you. This isn't just theory, and it isn't self-help fluff. It's warfare. Every argument you chase, every trend you mimic, every comment you feel compelled to answer, your strength leaks out. You don't get silenced by the world, you get drowned by it. That's why self-focus isn't optional anymore. It's a weapon. Pull your energy back. Not with tantrums, not with grand speeches, with strategy. Let them react. You observe. Let them explain. You move. Let them scream. You think. Focus isn't isolation for the sake of hiding. Focus is dominance without noise. It's ruling your own mind before someone else rents it for free. If you're done hemorrhaging attention to fools, write this down. My silence builds empires. Because from this point forward, your attention belongs to you, and only you. Rule 1. Distraction is the enemy that smiles. The greatest threat to power today doesn't arrive with a sword. It arrives as a notification, a headline, a dopamine drip engineered to make you feel instead of think. They don't need to destroy you. They only need to keep you scrolling. A distracted man never becomes a dangerous one. Machiavelli warned that if you want to control people, you control their minds first. Today, they don't need chains. They have algorithms. They have envy. They have noise. The moment you react to everything, you hand over the remote to your brain. Every time you pick up your phone without a mission, every time you chase the newest opinion or trend or stranger's approval, your mind fractures. One shard here, one shard there, until there's nothing left to build your empire with. The world wants your focus cheap. Your job is to make it expensive. Guard it like a fortress. Cut off what drains you, even if it used to entertain you, even if it felt like connection. Real power doesn't need to be seen. It needs to be concentrated. If you're done trading your mind for noise, say it out loud. Or better, type it below. I guard my focus like a weapon, because the one who protects his attention protects his future. Rule 2. Isolation isn't weakness, it's refinement. People will say you've changed, that you've gone cold, that you're distant. What they really mean is, you stopped being available to their chaos. You started building in silence, and that scares them. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. A wise man must learn to be alone with his thoughts. Not because solitude is easy, because power is born there. The world celebrates the man who's everywhere. It fears the one who disappears and returns 10 times sharper. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding confusion, noise, and emotional pollution. Every minute you spend defending yourself to someone who's already decided not to understand you is a minute you never get back. Let your results talk while your presence stays minimal. Strategic isolation isn't retreat, it's regeneration. While they broadcast their lives for a hit of validation, you go dark. While they gossip, you recalibrate. While they chase attention, you accumulate substance. If you feel the pull to vanish and evolve, trust it, honor it. Write it if you're stepping into that season now. My silence is sacred. When you return, they won't recognize you, and that's the point. Rule 3. The one who reacts first loses. Real power doesn't rant. It watches. It waits. It calculates. Weak minds react instantly, emotionally, and loudly, and that's how they lose leverage. One bad reaction can hand your power to the very person trying to provoke you. People test you because they want to see whether they still control your emotions. Every time you flinch, argue, or over-explain, you confirm that they do. In the past, you could measure a ruler's intelligence by the caliber of the advisors around him. Today, you can read a man's power by how unbothered he remains in chaos. When they can't read you, they fear you. When they can't provoke you, they lose leverage. Your silence becomes confusion. Your calm becomes a threat. Most people never reach real power because they're addicted to reaction. Addicted to proving, defending, debating. They want to be understood. The Machiavellian man wants to be unreadable. Train your emotions like a soldier. No response unless it serves your strategy. No outburst unless it advances your long game. No explanation unless it buys you leverage. Everything else stays internal. You let them guess. You let them drown in your stillness. If you've ever been baited into defending your peace, make this your code. I am not here to react. I am here to rule. And remember, the less they know, the more they fear. Rule 4. Self-focus builds leverage. In every room, there's a talker and a listener. One is proving. The other is mapping weaknesses and cataloging patterns. Guess which one wins. You don't dominate by flooding the room with words. You dominate by controlling what controls everyone else. Attention. Every hour spent sharpening your mind, guarding your time, leveling your value, your leverage grows quietly. Machiavelli didn't obsess over fairness. He obsessed over control. People respect what they fear losing. When you become the man who can't be manipulated, who doesn't chase validation, who walks away without a single word, you become irreplaceable. That isn't noise. That's leverage forged in cold discipline. If you're building in silence while no one's clapping, claim your throne. My focus is my throne. Because the world bows not to the loudest voice, but to the calmest mind with the most leverage. Distraction is the smiling assassin of your potential. It doesn't arrive with a sword or a gun. It shows up on your screen in the form of notifications, endless scrolling, cheap dopamine, and noise disguised as connection. That's the real battlefield today. Machiavelli said that rulers who control the minds of people don't need chains or prisons. They already own them. Today, the chains are digital, invisible, and voluntary. You check your phone without purpose. You argue with strangers online who don't even remember your name tomorrow. You get sucked into trends that won't exist a month from now. And every time you do, you fracture your mind. One piece of your focus goes here, another piece goes there, until nothing is left for the empire you were supposed to build. Understand this. The world doesn't want your focus. The world wants it cheap. They want you addicted, reactive, and weak. Because a man with no focus is easy to manipulate. The Machiavellian path demands the opposite. It demands that you make your focus expensive, so guarded that not everyone, not every trend, not every argument can access it. You have to treat it like a fortress. That means cutting off what drains you, even if it once entertained you, even if it once made you feel connected. Because the truth is, connection without purpose is another form of distraction. Power doesn't need to be seen, doesn't need to be constantly validated. It needs to be concentrated. And if you're serious about ruling your future, you have to start telling yourself, I guard my focus like a weapon. Because the man who controls his attention controls his destiny. Now let's address the next lie you've been told. That isolation is weakness. They'll call you cold. They'll tell you that you've changed. They'll say you're distant. What they really mean is that you've stopped being available for their chaos. You've stopped being a servant to other people's noise. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Solitude isn't escape. It's refinement. A man who is wise must learn to be alone with his thoughts, not because it's easy, but because true power is forged in silence. The world celebrates the man who is everywhere, but it fears the man who disappears, then returns 10 times sharper. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding confusion, drama, and emotional pollution. Because every second you spend explaining yourself to the wrong audience is a second you'll never get back. Your results will speak louder than your explanations ever could. Strategic isolation isn't retreat, it's regeneration. While they're busy broadcasting their lives for likes and approval, you're building. While they're talking, you're recalibrating. While they're chasing attention, you're becoming the man who commands attention by doing nothing at all. And if you've ever felt the pull to vanish for a while, to go dark, to stop being so accessible, listen to it. Honor it. Because when you come back, you won't be the same. You'll be unrecognizable, sharper, colder, stronger. That's why Machiavelli would tell you your silence is sacred. It isn't absence, it's preparation. Now let's talk about reaction. Here's the brutal truth. The one who reacts first always loses. Power doesn't live in outbursts. It lives in patience, in calm, in calculation. Weak men are easy to provoke. They snap at an insult. They shout when they feel ignored. They over-explain when they're challenged. And every time they do, they confirm that someone else owns their emotions. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, they're not really asking for an explanation. They're testing you. They want to know if they can still pull your strings. And the second you flinch, you give them the answer. Yes, they still control you. That's why the Machiavellian man trains his emotions like a soldier. No reaction unless it serves strategy. No outburst unless it advances the long game. No explanation unless it buys power. When they can't read you, they fear you. When they can't provoke you, they lose leverage. Your silence becomes confusion. Your calm becomes a threat. Because no one knows how to fight a man who doesn't flinch. That's the essence of control. That's the kind of presence that shifts entire rooms. Machiavelli once said that the best way to judge a ruler's intelligence is by looking at the men around him. Today, we could judge a man's power by how unbothered he remains in a sea of chaos. When others panic, he stays still. When others scream, he calculates. That's how you train yourself to rule, not with noise, but with silence that forces the world to second-guess itself. This is the reason most people never reach real power. They're addicted to reaction, addicted to proving themselves, addicted to defending their name, addicted to being understood. But understand this, the Machiavellian man doesn't want to be understood. He wants to be unreadable, and that unreadability is his edge. If you've ever been baited into defending your peace, if you've ever wasted time explaining yourself to people who are never listening, then it's time to make a declaration. I am not here to react. I am here to rule. Because the less they know, the more they fear. And the more they fear, the more control you gain, not through aggression, but through discipline. Leverage controls everything. In every room, there's always a split. The one who talks and the one who listens. The talker is desperate to prove something. The listener is busy collecting data, measuring weakness, noting emotional cracks, observing patterns. Guess which one walks out with the real power? It's not the loudest man. It's the man who guards his focus like treasure and invests it only where it builds leverage. Self-focus is the forge where that leverage is made. Every hour you spend sharpening your mind, controlling your time, and raising your value, you're not just improving. You're stockpiling power. Quietly, patiently, coldly. Machiavelli wasn't obsessed with fairness. He was obsessed with control. And here's a cruel truth you need to accept. People only respect what they fear losing. That's why the man who cannot be manipulated, the man who doesn't need applause, the man who can walk away without a single word, that's the man who becomes irreplaceable. That's power, not popularity, not charisma, not fake smiles and constant validation. Power is the psychological leverage you've built in silence, when no one was watching, when no one was clapping. So here's the lesson. If you want influence, vanish for a year and return 10 steps ahead. Let them laugh while you're gone. Let them doubt you. Let them forget you. Because when you return with results, they'll remember you differently. They'll speak less. They'll listen more. And they won't respect you because you talked louder. They'll respect you because you raised your value in ways they can't compete with. That's the power of self-focus. It isn't about beating others. It's about becoming so rare, so composed, so disciplined, that others don't even belong in the same competition anymore. You don't argue. You don't fight for scraps. You exist above them. They're chasing relevance. You're chasing refinement. They're scrambling for attention. You're building substance. They're desperate to be seen. You're making your absence expensive. Write this down if you're walking that path already. My focus is my throne. Because when you learn to build leverage through silence and self-discipline, the world bows, not to the loudest voice, but to the calmest mind with the most leverage. Now let's address another addiction that destroys men: the need to be seen. Most people don't chase real power. They chase attention and confuse the two. They want likes. They want applause. They want validation. But here's the dark truth no one tells you. The more you need to be seen, the easier you are to control. If your confidence rises and falls with views, likes, or compliments, then you don't own yourself. You're being programmed, and anything programmable can be broken. Validation is a leash, a shiny leash that doesn't choke you. It seduces you. It rewards you when you're tame. It starves you when you're real. That's not love. That's manipulation with polish. Machiavelli didn't play that game. He didn't crave applause. He craved control. He knew that the man who depends on external validation has already lost. Because if someone else's reaction can make or break your state of mind, you're not powerful. You're predictable. And the predictable man is never dangerous. Think about it. How many people collapse after one negative comment? How many people fall apart when ignored? How many people let their emotions swing depending on whether someone else clapped for them or not? That isn't strength. That isn't individuality. That's programming. You must rewire yourself. Validate yourself through execution, not expression. Through silence, not selfies. Through progress, not praise. Do something difficult, and don't tell anyone. Build something in secret and let it explode later. Succeed in silence and let your results do the talking. The man who needs to be seen will never build anything real because he's too busy performing. He becomes a puppet, smiling when praised, breaking when ignored, constantly adjusting to win approval. But the Machiavellian man doesn't need applause. He doesn't need validation. And that's why, when he finally moves, no one can ignore him. Yes, there's a cost. When you detach from the need to be seen, people will misunderstand you. They'll say you're arrogant. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you've changed. Let them. Because while they waste energy trying to interpret you, you're saving your energy to build. Their confusion is proof that your power is growing. You must become the ghost in their system, not constantly visible, not always available, but always felt. Not loud, but undeniable. They can't predict you. They can't box you in. And eventually, they can't ignore you, because your results force them to notice. So kill the need to be seen, because needing attention is the most expensive weakness you can have. Learn instead to become undeniable without trying. And when you finally show up, your presence will carry more weight than all their years of noise combined. If you've started detaching from the performance, write this in the comments. I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to be sovereign. Because the man who no longer seeks their eyes becomes the shadow that rules them all. Let's cut to the heart of it. Discipline is the fortress. Control your time, and you control the game. Weak men wait for motivation. Strong men don't wait. They operate from systems. The untouchable man doesn't get up hoping to feel ready. He decides to be ready, daily, without excuses. In the game of power, discipline isn't optional. It's not a lifestyle. It's a fortress. And time, that's your only true currency. Look around. Most people are busy, but very few are effective. They confuse activity with progress. They chase goals with no structure. They burn energy without direction. But not you, not if you take this seriously. Machiavelli never wrote about calendars or productivity hacks. What he spoke about was control. The control of men, the control of situations. And he'd tell you straight, the first battle you must win is the control of your hours. Because if you don't command your own time, you've already handed your life to someone else. Time is where power hides, and most never touch it. They wake up when they feel like it. They only move when forced. They drift through life as slaves, not to chains, but to their lack of structure. But the Machiavellian man is different. He sharpens his mind and his will through routine. Cold, relentless, precise. Every controlled hour is a brick. Every completed task is a weapon. Every routine you refuse to break is a wall separating you from mediocrity. While the masses chase comfort, you chase command. While they hope for motivation, you move by discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about being predictable to yourself. When your body knows what to do before your mind has time to resist, you've transcended weakness. That's when your day becomes an extension of your will, not a reaction to your mood. There is no freedom without structure. The freest man is the one who has mastered limitation. He doesn't waste time on endless options. He has rituals. He has systems. He has cold precision. Those routines kill confusion. They silence hesitation. They destroy the need for someone else to push you. And those who live without systems? They sabotage themselves with randomness. They set goals, but they have no repeatable habits to back them. They burn out, chasing motivation like children chasing fireflies, hoping it comes back tomorrow. But it never does. Motivation is for spectators. Systems are for kings. You don't need inspiration to dominate. You need consistency. You need the discipline to do what must be done, no matter what you feel. That's the real separator. It won't be glamorous. It won't be fun. But it will be the difference between the man who watches time slip through his fingers and the man who carves his throne from it. Machiavelli would put it like this: don't wait for the world to hand you a crown. Build a clock and make the world run on your time. The more structure you build, the less chaos can enter. The more ordered your inner world becomes, the less the outside world can disturb it. Time is the battlefield. Most men show up unarmed. You, if you're serious, show up with weapons. Hour by hour, choice by choice. You guard your mornings like treasure. You use your nights for reflection, not for escape. You sleep like a king. You rise like a warrior. You move like a ghost. Temptations will scream for your attention. Distractions will tempt you, but you already know. Chaos is the enemy. Noise is a trap, and emotion is a thief. Your system must be heavier than your excuses. That way, when your feelings try to argue, your actions have already started. That's the secret to mental power. Not thinking more, thinking less. Because your system already knows the path. Eventually, discipline becomes your identity. You're no longer forcing yourself. You become someone else entirely. A man who doesn't need pressure to perform. A man who doesn't need chaos to move. A man whose results speak so loud that excuses are silenced before they can be spoken. That's what Machiavelli respected. Not the man who talks about goals. Not the man who hopes for better days. But the one whose consistency terrifies others. Because consistency reveals something deeper. If you don't waste time, you won't waste power. And that's why they fear you, not your voice, not your presence, but your cold discipline. If you're done chasing motivation and ready to live by mastery, claim it now. I don't follow motivation. I follow a code. Because from this point forward, you're not just managing time, you're ruling it. And that fortress you build, brick by brick, habit by habit, that's what makes you untouchable. There's a weapon more powerful than routine, more intimidating than presence, and more disruptive than words. Emotional detachment. The most dangerous man in any room is not the one who shouts, not the one who postures. It's the one who feels nothing but sees everything. He doesn't react. He doesn't flinch. He simply observes with surgical calm. In a world obsessed with vulnerability, Machiavelli would tell you something different. Don't be transparent. Be unreadable. Emotions are not the enemy, but emotional reactivity is. The second they know what upsets you, they own you. The moment they see you flinch, they adjust their strategy. The instant they realize they can make you explain yourself, they hold power over you. You don't win by feeling more. You win by separating feeling from decision. When they scream, you listen. When they insult, you calculate. When they bait you, you stay still. Because silence, in the hands of a focused man, is sharper than any blade. Machiavelli said men are driven by two forces, love and fear. To be feared, he argued, is safer. Why? Because love expects you to be soft, to feel, to give. Fear demands nothing. Fear respects boundaries. Fear obeys silence. Emotional detachment is not about being numb. It's about being unavailable to manipulation. You carry your emotions like hidden weapons, ready but never flashed. Most people are drowning in their reactions. They speak before they think. They burn bridges out of impulse. They confuse outbursts with strength. But the detached man burns nothing. He lets others destroy themselves while he remains untouched. That's what makes you untouchable. Not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. No one gets to see your nerves. No one gets to read your buttons. And in that stillness, you rise above the chaos. Which brings us to the next level of transformation. Solitude. Most people run from it. They call it loneliness. They panic when the room grows quiet. They feel abandoned when no one texts back. But solitude isn't punishment. It's purification. It strips away the noise, the fake connections, the endless chatter, and leaves you face to face with yourself. That's why so few men ever embrace it. Because solitude reveals truth. Truth about your weaknesses. Truth about your addictions. Truth about the habits that are destroying you. Most men can't handle that, so they keep distracting themselves, keep staying available, keep surrounding themselves with people who drain them. But Machiavelli would have told you, solitude isn't where you lose yourself. It's where you find the version of you no one has ever seen. Not the version that craves applause. Not the version that lives on validation. The version that is sovereign, whole, dangerous. Isolation is not retreat. It's sharpening. It's resistance training for the soul. It's where you learn to anchor yourself without depending on anyone. And once you master it, you become the man no one can destroy, because you need nothing from them anymore. If you've ever felt the pull to disappear and evolve, you're not crazy. That's your instinct calling you. Honor it. Because when you resurface, you'll be unrecognizable. They won't see the same man. They'll feel the shift in your presence, in your stillness, in your eyes. That's what solitude builds, the kind of gravity you can't fake. And after solitude comes evolution. This is the final blow. Self-focus isn't just about cutting distractions or building discipline. It's about killing the old version of you with precision. The one who begged for understanding. The one who needed validation. The one who folded under pressure. That version dies in silence. And a new version takes its place. Colder, sharper, unreadable. You don't need revenge anymore. You don't need explanations. Your results speak. Your silence punishes. Your absence terrifies. The world will whisper that you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're cold. Let them. That's the cost of evolution. And that's why most men never rise. They can't stomach leaving their old identity behind. But Machiavelli understood. Men must be either pampered or annihilated. In modern terms, you either protect your peace completely or you eliminate what threatens it. No middle ground. Power doesn't beg. Power doesn't explain. Power doesn't react. Power observes, prepares, and then moves with clarity. You've walked through the steps. You've cut distractions. You've embraced silence. You've mastered patience. You've built discipline. You've detached emotionally. You've sharpened in solitude. And now you've evolved into someone unreadable, untouchable, unshakable. That's the Machiavellian path. And when people from your past try to reach the old version of you, they'll find nothing there. That man is gone, buried under every cold morning, every long silence, every moment of discipline you endured. You don't need to defend yourself anymore. You don't even need to answer. Because now, you operate in a world they can't enter. This is the ultimate revenge. Evolution so extreme that no one can trigger a response from you anymore. Your mind is a fortress. Your time is guarded. Your presence is rare. You've become the figure they all fear. Not because you demand fear, but because your composure, your silence, your evolution exposes them. So here's your final command. Keep building in silence. Keep protecting your hours. Keep mastering your focus. Keep detaching from the noise. And remember, the ultimate power is not loud. It doesn't chase applause. It doesn't demand recognition. It doesn't beg for closure. The ultimate power is calm. It's cold. It's focused. And when you live like that, you no longer need the world. The world starts needing you. Write this if you've walked the path with me. They can't reach me anymore. I've become the silence they can't decode. Because from this point forward, you are not just surviving distraction. You are ruling it. You are not just enduring solitude. You are weaponizing it. You are not just avoiding weakness. You are burning it out of yourself. This is your evolution. And evolution is the only crown worth wearing.